prefer the Chris Hecker style interview. I always have. I think it's the best kind. And
for us laymen that don't know what that means, can you enlighten us who Chris Hecker is and why does his interviews rock?
Sure.
Anyways, sorry.
He was the person who first tried to get games on Windows. He made a thing called WinG, which was the precursor to DirectX. He made a game called...
Oh, I hate him.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. You shouldn't. I mean, it was a good development. It's why we have Steam at all, right? Like,
oh, we love him.
We love him. Never mind.
Yeah, and he made a game called Spy Party, which is a game you can play on Steam. Oh, and he did the creature creation stuff for Spore, for the Electronic Arts game Spore. Yeah.
Okay, welcome to Spore. This is a very difficult game to demo.
So his interview process was the best one, and it's the one I always have used and would use again if I was ever hiring someone. And it's very simple. It's basically a drill down interview where you take something that the person has done. So basically you ask them for their history and you randomly pick kind of something you want to drill down on, and you drill down on it continuously until you get to like the very minutia of that problem. And this is such a great interview because it allows the person to talk about things they are comfortable with. So you're not springing this like dual heap median nonsense on them, which is something no one's thought about, right? It's like it's a vague CS thing that would almost never have come up in 99% of all programmers' lives, and they wouldn't have spent much time thinking about. This allows you to focus on something that they have thought about, and you get to see like, can they remember the stuff they do? How far through it did they think? Are they able to explain those things that they did and why? And these interviews are very productive in my experience, and typically are really good at figuring out whether a candidate's actually a decent programmer or not. The only thing they can't do, and leak code interviews also don't do this, is figure out how much someone programs. That can be difficult, but I don't think there's much you can really do in an interview to determine that.
Yeah, that is one thing about leak code style interviews, especially if you have a keyboard that they can actually do it live. You can actually make a lot of judgments just on that. When you see someone at least write parts of the function or parts of something in like a really fast, obviously they understand the language really, really well. You can say, okay, this person does program a lot. Like when I was watching that video, my biggest takeaway was he's probably a really talented programmer. Just by watching him type and do stuff, even though he was feigning to be stupid, you could actually see, oh yeah, he's actually really talented. Just by his pure command of how he's interacting with his computer and all that.
By programs a lot, though, what I mean is this a person who's just going to talk all day with other people in the office or like spend all day on social media, like that kind of thing? I mean productivity based, because like there's definitely programmers who are very good if you force them to program for an hour. They're excellent, but they don't work like 90% of the time, right? So what I mean is that you can't screen out in this type of interview, and I don't know how you do.
I actually wanted to double tap on what Prime just said, because I had the exact same observation of watching that video. I was like, anyone who probably didn't know anything about anything wouldn't have passed an interview. Like it was so back and forth with the questions, and I was like staring at his eyes a lot of the time, and he wasn't really looking at the prompt at all. Like he was like literally solving it. Yeah. So like I wasn't even impressed with the product really. I was more just like, okay, you already know what you're doing, and maybe you'll peek at some syntax every now and then. But immediately after like the first like 5 minutes, I was like, he already knows what he's doing. Like he's talking so well. So like if you handed that to like my mom to pass the same interview, she would just literally crumble, and she'd probably be trying to type into ChatGPT like, what did this person just ask me? I don't know if anyone else feels the same way.
No, that's a very good point. I think it's a very good point.
I was thinking the same thing, where I was like, a bunch of people are going to buy this who don't know how to code and they're going to get to the Amazon interview, and then it's going to be so incredibly obvious that they are cheating, because it'll be like, I'm thinking we probably should use def function mynums heap 1 heap 2. What do you think about that? It's like
I've unironically had someone do that in an interview. One of my last interviews, someone was typing and I was just like, hey, here's the problems. They're like, oh, okay, what are the problems exactly? And I'm like, here's the exact problems. I kind of write them in comments. And then I watched them highlight my comment. Then their highlight went away, and they're like, I'm going to start over now. And they erased all of their work and then just restarted. I was just like, really? What? This is crazy. I can't believe you decided to start over and write almost the same code. Huh. I wonder what they're doing.
Yeah, I do think asking people questions like you're saying, Casey, is much better, especially for, say, like, mid to senior level engineers. One of my favorite interviews was we did a very similar thing to that, except like they told me I could bring a project already that I had worked on. So they didn't have to like pick one randomly, but I could sort of like prepare to do that. And so like I just brought Telescope and I just like said, here's what I did, here's how I designed it, here's the interesting bits. And then we just like chatted about it for 45 minutes. And for like mid to senior level, I think that that's way more revealing and way more useful, especially at like Amazon. You are right. I think a lot of times it's like you're having meetings that could have been emails. So like talking about stuff and getting alignment is probably like 1,000x more valuable than can you do doom and heaps.
Boot up the day, vibe coding, errors on my screen, terminal coffee in hand.